So we are live having a conversation on why a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. And one of the things that I want you to see if you're looking at what is on the screen, if you're following this live or if you're looking at the recording, when you look at the title, you'll see Winn, Winn, and there's a reason for it. And so we'll find out in just a moment. If you haven't been paying attention, then you're going to find out why it is. So I want to bring on with me my good friend and buddy, Carl Winn. Carl Winn Jr. Carl Jr. How's it doing, brother?
Man, it is going well. I'm living the dream.
And he's got Fidel Winn with him as well.
Put in wave for them. See, wait. There you go.
Now, let me say this. Winn is what you heard, because that is Carl's name. That is his family name that he is championing. Winn. Winn.
That's right.
So we're going to talk today about a winning mindset. And how this even came about was, we do our Monday morning masterminds, 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And as I said on my live, if there's anybody here who wants to discover how to create their own exponential growth mastermind session, how to find their own mastermind partner, you want to get some perspective and advice on it, this is the guy who sets this up for me and him, and he even got it all situated. And so all you gotta do is put in the comments, hey, I want to know how to set up, create my own exponential growth experience, my own exponential growth session. So anyway, we're gonna get into this. We were in our mastermind session, okay, our exponential growth session. And before we got off, we were talking about meditation and really what the more ancient historical perspective about that is, meaning that meditation is not just you thinking on something, it's also you repetitiously communicating that, reciting it to a degree. And there's some ways you can do that. And then you said, the meditation that y'all have for this year is connected with what we're talking about. And so here's how it came about. It was said, hey, y'all's focus, y'all's meditation is a winning mindset. Like everything that
Hmm.
you all are doing is focused on a winning mindset. And then I said, you know what, Carl? Man, a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. And you were like,
Yeah.
it is. And so we decided, hey, let's go ahead and do a live and have a conversation around it. And what I really want to do first, Carl, is like really unpack, aside from the play on words of win, because
Hmm.
everything when it comes to Carl Win, like there's a way in which there's a play on the word win. And being the person who's publishing the book, nothing is a waste, right? Leveraging the past, repurposing the or how's it leveraging the past, repurposing the present. How
Im-
you do it?
Leverage the past, improve the future.
Uh-huh. And where did the repurpose part come in? Or repurposing
Well,
the past. That's the one of
yeah.
the
I mean,
that's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the
It's
thought
just one of the
processes in the book.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just repurpose the
So
past, right?
so win is everywhere with Carl. First of all, because every time he signs his name, it's there. It's there.
Yes, sir.
But
Uh-huh.
what
Uh-huh.
was it that happened, Carl? What was going on in your conversation with Crystal, your wife, and then, with the kids in the context of y'all homeschooling, where you said, you know what? Our focus for the year is a winning mindset. Like, tell us about it, man.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be doing this. But the way it came about is last year we our theme for the family was stewardship, right? So this year we got together 2 days. We went away as an entire family, and normally during the end of the year, we come up with our theme. We come up with a theme to focus our family on. And so, because we have some really big goals, and we want to leverage what we learned last year from stewardship, we understood that as we were going through that, that in order for us to bring everything that we've learned, remember nothing is a waste, bring it all together, we got to have a winning mindset. And so I wanted that to be not only something that I leveraged, but I wanted my entire family to understand that if we're going to achieve our goals, because I had all of my children, um, ages 10 to 3, create their own goals, right? My wife created her goals, I created all my goals, and we brought it all together. And if you're going to achieve goals, you got to have a winning mindset. In fact, Zig Ziglar says you're born to win. And he said, if you're going to win, you got to have a plan to win, right? So you don't win on accident. And so if you're going to have a winning mindset, it's something that you got to build day in and day out. The thought process have to continue to be communicated. And so when I think about wellness and think about our conversation this morning about repetitiveness, that has to be something that we talk about on an ongoing basis, how to have a winning mindset.
Man, so tell me this. Now, first of all, I remember when this was probably about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. He was like, man, we going on a refresher. I was like, what's that? And so he's like, we don't go on vacations, we go on refreshers.
That's
We're
right.
not vacating, we refreshing, right? And so your retreats are very much like your refreshers, with a different focus, where the
Mhm.
refresher is specifically focused on your enjoyment and your experience, and like having a good time, whereas the retreat, yes, there's a good time, there's experience and all of that, but it's more of a working experience, a working focus. And so bringing your 5 children, yourself and your wife together, and y'all are leveraging next year, or you're leveraging this previous year for next year. How did winning mindset become the focus and the thing that flowed out of the goals and the thought process? Because, I mean, I can see where stewardship and winning come together, but aside from the win part,
Mhm.
what is it that caused you all to see, okay, our theme is this, in extension of this being stewardship, because of really what we're trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think it came about from this perspective, right? I'm in with my business, with my life, in very um avenues of my life, things that I'm doing outside of the home, right? I'm helping people think about winning, right? I'm Whether it's through my book writing, whether I'm doing things on LinkedIn posting, whether it's with my business team win companies, right? My goal is to help people win, and I believe that's what God created us to do. So I'm leveraging that. So I'm a man who really wants. I'm a man who don't want to be a hypocrite, should I say? I want to make sure that what I'm doing publicly, I'm practicing privately. So if I'm helping other people win, and I'm not taking that same game plan, right, and putting it into place in my home, right, then I'm being hypocritical. And man, at the end of the day, Leo, you know this because I'm a family man. If I want anybody to win, I want my family to win.
Mm,
And
yeah.
and we have some big goals this year. All of my children. This is the first time we did that. Everybody created goals. I want to see them advance. I want to see them win. So I'm the coach that's going to lead out number one with that mindset for myself. But I'm gonna lead my family into that Super Bowl. Right? We're gonna get a ring. We're not we're not losing this. We're gonna get a ring. And guess what? We have enemies that wants to take us down. This is a part of life, right? We're going to have some challenges. And so we have to lead through those challenges with a winning mindset.
Mm. So let's jump into this aspect of, all right, so we got how you came to winning mindset, but how is and why is winning mindset, a wellness mindset is what we want to jump into now. And before I do that, I want to share with you some of the definitions that I used yesterday when I did my live on why mindset wellness is not fluff. All right. Now, before
Hmm.
we jump into the definitions, I want us to talk about why a lot of times people think focusing on mindset is fluff, right? You
Mm.
have the people who are like, you come in and let me be very honest. There's a lot of people who are focused in the arena of, they want people to become wealthy, to, move in the direction of making a difference, and they want to provide them opportunities financially. And so they want them to be monetarily stable, financially strong. But they're starting more and more to say, if you're going to be able to do this, you got to do the mindset work, right? That's starting to become a phrase, that you got to do
Hmm.
the mindset work.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of people, and in many instances, this is also in a lot of our major companies and even a lot of our small companies. I've seen this having been on the small business side. And so on that small business side, what we have seen is a lot of small business owners don't want to invest in the mindset development aspect because they think it's fluff. Why is it that people believe that focusing on the mindset is fluff?
Yeah, I would say this. Um, I think, from my perspective, number one, I think it's ignorance.
Mm,
First of all, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's very proactive. Sometimes we push things away because we haven't taken the time to learn about it. Right?
that's
It's
good.
not something that was taught in our homes, because I really believe that if it was taught in our homes, it would be more acceptable. Right? Like even now, me teaching my children about a winning mindset and we're leading in that talking about that, they're going to be thinking about their thoughts, right, man. And so I think first of all, it comes with ignorance. I think the second part is that, you know from a negative perspective, right? I think some people have been burned, from a perspective where people tell them, you got to think like this, and you're going, all your dreams are going to be achieved, and all of this, and they haven't
Mm,
seen any results. Is because they had a faulty. Number one, they were being deceived, right? They were being led in a deceptive manner. And so, because, although a winning mindset, it'll help you win, but it can't help you do everything. There's something you just can't do, right? I like
right.
Zig Ziglar says, he says this. He said, um, about motivation. He said people was getting on him, say, "Man, Zig, why you always talking about motivation and doing this?" He said, "Well, he said motivation. He said it can't help you do um, everything, but it can help you do everything better. But
Mhm,
sometimes
mhm.
people get the idea that, man, if you just think it and believe it, man, all of your dreams are come true. That, that's not true. You can't get in that. I mean, I can dream up a winning mindset, but I'm not gonna go fight a 18-foot shark,
Ah,
because
yeah,
I
that's
I mean,
stupidity.
but but there are so there are some things that we just can't do with a winning mindset, but we can do everything better. So people have been burned from that perspective.
Wow. That's an interesting take on it. And as you were talking, something came to mind with regard to how, as it pertains to mindset, what happens is people don't know how to correspond mindset to actual practice that translates to something, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
this, I think that's a great place to really understand why people think it's fluff, because what they've experienced being burned, as you said, that mindset actually is this mindset is actually at that point for them that have been burned. It is such that they are like, well, I don't really want to deal with that because that hasn't produced anything for me. But what they're really saying is, this mindset has not worked for me, because you got to understand, if you're doing anything in life and you're doing it well, you have to have a mindset connected with it. And that brings in the definition. So I'm gonna give you the what I call the modern definition, and then I'll give you the
Mm-hmm.
historical definition. So the modern definition of mindset is the established set of attitudes held by someone, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in other words, if you take that modern definition, when you say, the focus this year for you guys is a winning mindset, what you're saying is, we have an established set of attitudes that we are going to hold, that's in the context of winning this year. And I love how you shared it with me. There's just a modern one. We ain't even got to the historical ones. But you were sharing with me how when you talk to your kids, and they have a difficulty and a challenge, your response is something along the lines of, hey, let's talk about this. And how they respond, you get to it to where you're like, hey, is this a winning attitude? Like, is the question you're asking at that point, is this response you're giving to this situation consistent with our established set of attitudes that we're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to hold?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
That's exactly. And you know what? You know, we haven't defined define that winning mindset out in attitudes, but that's something that I'm actually working on doing, even for the because I wanted to be articulate what is I want that winning mindset to be defined. It's not, I don't want it to be this arbitrary idea, but it's very consistent, right? And we know
Yeah.
what that means, right? Because it helps us
So
to train them and help us to have a real focus on what is a winning mindset, right?
yeah. So one of the things that you're saying and that we're saying is, a you're having mindset, or mindset wellness is not fluff, simply because if it's truly a mindset, it's defined. And the fluff aspects are really things that are not defined, but they're passed along as being mindset, or even a winning mindset.
Sure. Yes,
Hmm.
you got to have some meat behind that, man.
You
You
gotta
can't just.
have some meat.
You,
You gotta have
it's
some
the same
substance.
thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. People say, "Man, I have faith," but you ask them, "You have faith in what?" In the it has your faith has to it has to be cornerstone. It has to have a foundation somewhere. It can't be this arbitrary thought. Like you can't just say I have faith and there is no substance behind it. Like it has to be rooted in something.
Yeah. It has to
And
be
so,
rooted.
yes, it has to be rooted, right? And so when you think about a winning mindset, it has to be rooted.
In the principles of winning.
That's right.
Okay. So watch this. If a winning mindset is a wellness mindset, meaning they're synonymous and
Hmm.
to some degree technically the same, what you're saying is that which is predictably consistent with winning is what your focus is. Not just, I want to say this is winning, but as it pertains to what I want to win in, what are the established sets of attitudes or behaviors that correspond to that I need to hold to? And that's where wellness mindset comes in, because you want to think rightly so you can actually have a belief that is right, consistent with those winning structures of mindset. However, there's some historical aspects to this definition I want to give, right?
Okay.
So, in simple, thoughts or purposes, right? And
Mm,
thoughts, not just in the context of it's just random, right? It's speaking of thoughts as specific type of thoughts. And you know that because the next definition as purposes means reason, right? It's founded in something, as you were saying, rooted, right?
mm-hmm.
But then this is my favorite one: inclinations.
Mm,
But the question is, what are inclinations? Here's the definition of inclinations: a person's natural tendency or urge to act or feel in a particular way, a disposition or a propensity. Now watch this. This goes back to something you said just a moment ago. You said, okay, so a lot of times people think mindset or the focus on mindset is fluff, right?
mm-hmm.
And I'll come back to wellness mindset as a winning mindset with regard to that fluff thought process with regard to what saying. Some people, you said that some of those people, they actually consider it fluff because of their ignorance, which connects with their lack of experience with the emphasis on developing, being intentional about your mindset. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So if a person, watch this, if a person's natural tendency is to think, remember thoughts, to have
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, that mindset is fluff, what does that say about their mindset? Doesn't it say that it's not well?
Absolutely.
Doesn't it say that their mindset is actually not a winning mindset, but a what?
Losing.
Losing mindset.
Yeah.
Right? So think about it. So winning mindset is a wellness mindset. That means that, first of all, in order to have a winning mindset, you have to have a mindset that is well. Because if you don't have a soundness in your mindset, or as we say, wellness in your mindset, then you're going to be in a position to where everything you think, all of your thoughts, all of the purposes, or your natural tendency, your inclinations will be within the propensity or the disposition of losing. Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, in other words, there's no way you can have a winning mindset without having a wellness mindset.
You can't.
Wow.
They're two of the
So,
same. They're two sides to the same coin.
uh, they need one another. In order to have a winning mindset, you have to have wellness in your mindset. And in order to have, so let me share this with you. This is kind of the way I think about it. So the the day before, I think it was day 4 of my 21 days of wellness, I did wealth wellness, right? That was the focus of wellness. And one of the things that I stated was mindset, I'm sorry, not mindset, wellness is the intangible, mindful aspect of our life, and wealth is the tangible, measurable aspect of our life. Meaning, if I have wellness, because the word wealth actually derives from well, if I have wellness, then there will be some observable wealth, whether it's in the tangible of substances or it's in the tangible of visibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I can say is you have wealth in the context of outside of your financial, you have the wealth of relationship. You have the wealth of opportunity with your children. You have the wealth of experience in their development and their growth because of the wellness you have with regard to your thought process about their education, their growth, and their development. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
So let's elaborate on this together. Natural tendency, inclinations, right? So how important is it to evaluate what our natural inclinations are, or our natural tendencies, which is our inclinations, to determine if it positions us to have a wellness mindset, which then leads us to that winning mindset? So I'm gonna come back and ask it again. How important is it for us to get down to the nitty gritty and deal with our natural tendencies to determine if they are valuable? I'm asking it differently. If they are valuable in the context of us having a winning mindset.
Man, I think someone said it like this. It says, "Self know thyself" somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I mean, you know,
Self
we have
know
to,
thyself. I like that.
yeah. I mean, it's the reality is we have to be real with ourselves and take an assessment of where we are, right? We have to do that as I talk about in my Nothing is a Waste book, right? We got to do that excavation of our
Mm,
lives, right? To dig down deep and see what our natural tendencies are. And guess what? We can also do that in collaboration with other people who know us, right? Where they can say, okay, this is what I've seen in your life, right? These because other people can help us see those things we can't see in our own self, right?
mm,
And so, if we are with some trusted people that can help us really examine our lives, then we have the ability to overcome those natural tendencies, especially when they're negative, right? As I say, in the book, nothing is a waste, right? Leverage the past, improve the future, right? One of the ways you can leverage the past is also identifying those negative tendencies and say, these are things I need to overcome, right? These are, this is the mindset I need to avoid, right? Because we all have some baggage in our lives, right? We don't. I mean, the reason why you need a winning mindset is because, again, we have a natural tendency to have a losing mindset, right? It's easy.
mm.
It's easy to tuck the tail and lose. I mean, just it is. It's hard to win consistently. It's hard to come in and day out and put in the discipline to win. We think about it. It's so easy, whether you're talking about in your marriage, with your finances, with your health, with your wealth, with other relationships, it's easy to lose. It just is.
Yeah.
Winning takes discipline, and we don't have that natural tendency. We want to tuck the tail and do what's easy,
Hmm.
right? The hard part is getting in the grind and saying, you know what, this is the winning mindset, this is the winning playbook, and I know what I need to do to get it. And guess what? I really don't want to do it because it's hard. I don't want to
Hmm.
give this up because it's hard. But you know what? I want to win. So my desire to win is greater than my desire just to tuck my tail and just give in and go the easy route. I want to win greater than than anything else. So I would say, from that perspective, Leo, man, we got to take that assessment, man, and know what our natural tendencies are, and make sure that we are doing things to make sure we are going in that winning, winning, making sure that we are being consistent with the winning playbook, with the winning mindset.
Man. So one of the things that I think about as a summative perspective of what you just said is, so in evaluating our natural tendencies, we got to know that we have negative tendencies and positive tendencies. and that in most instances our negative tendencies overshadow our positive tendencies and cause us to be more in the propensity to take tail and run, right? And so it's easier to lose than it is to win. And so if we are really going to be able to exhibit a winning mindset, then we've got to pursue making sure there's wellness in our mindset at its core level so that it can have a foundation for winning in the mindset. That makes sense.
Absolutely. It makes sense, man.
That that's good. Here's one of the things that I was thinking about as well as we get ready to descend and land this thing. You were talking about it's a whole lot easier to lose, right? And I go back in my mind. I want to share this because when I was in high school, like I quit, I think five five. Let me see. So going into going into high school, I quit football because I was like, I'm not about to get run over.
Yeah.
Then I quit track because in my eighth grade year in the district championship, I fell over a hurdle. So I was like, instead of saying I'm not going to run hurdles or I'm going to go conquer the hurdle, I was like, I'm not going to run track at all. Like that was dumb, right?
Yeah.
And then I quit um basketball my senior year. Then I quit cross country my senior year. So, and then I ran the last sport that I participated in was track. The one that I quit. It was weird mindset, right? Okay. And here's why I quit though. I quit because I had a mindset that was more within the context of a propensity to lose, though I had a desire to win. And really, I can't even say I had a desire to win. I wanted to win, but I didn't have a desire to win. Because if you have a desire, your desire moves into your emotions to move you into action, right? So I had this thing where I would often be like, if it got too difficult or too hard, to me, it was like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. And so
Mm.
if it get too hard, then that means, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Let me tell you why. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, it's so important that you have somebody in your life to help give distinctions to how you are to evaluate your situations and circumstances. And here's the thing that I didn't get. See, I was a well-disciplined child. If my parents said you do X, well, I was going to do X. And if I didn't do X and I did Y and I got something that came with X, then I made a mental note. You don't do Y because it will get you Z and you don't want that, right? It's like you do X. But here's the issue. They didn't say that when it comes to dealing with life and achievement, winning in your sports activities, winning in your school activities, if it gets hard, that's when you're being told by the situation that you are right where you need to be, and now you need to leverage it and move on.
Mm. Yeah.
And so while I thought well, I didn't have the right mindset. And here's how I like to talk about it. I talked about this in that video. I mean that live yesterday. I said I used the set point from the thermostat. And both of us we've been in the HVAC industry. And so we
Hmm.
we know about the importance of those thermostats, right? I said if it's 80 degrees outside and you have your thermostat set on 84 and you want it to come on and cool, I don't care what you do. It's not going to turn on and cool. It's not doing that. Am I right, Carl?
Yeah. No, it's not coming on.
It's not coming on. However, if you got it set, if it's 80 degrees outside and you have the thermostat set on 75, is the unit going to turn on?
Absolutely.
Yes. Same thing with our mindset. If our mind is not set on the appropriate thoughts, the appropriate perspectives, the appropriate understandings and awarenesses and purposes and reasons, when the situations begin to happen, we're not going to respond to them and regard them appropriately so that we can get the results that we need to get. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. All day, every day.
And so when it
It, it,
comes to having a winning mindset, we have to start with, is my mindset well in order for me to actually produce consistent with the winning mindset, right? Because
yeah.
the mind is not set on something for arbitrary purposes. The
Yeah.
mind is not set on something for arbitrary purposes. Like y'all don't have goals for arbitrary purposes. Y'all don't have the commitment and focus to a winning mindset for arbitrary purposes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So how important is it to make sure not only that you have a winning mindset, but that you have a wellness mindset? Not only that, but how important is it to make sure that what our mind is set on is not arbitrary?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like a map, right?
Hmm. Talk about
You
that.
know, I mean, you don't like if I was coming to your house, right? I'm going to I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make sure that I have the correct directions to get there. It's not like I have a destination in mind. And so if I have a destination in mind, I need to know what are the stops, where do I need to go, what right turns I need to make, what left turn I need to make to get there, right? So it's not like it's not this arbitrary place we're going. So if you're trying to go somewhere, you got to have the right directions to get there. You know, you're not just going to just try to do this on the fly. You're going to have specific directions to get you to where you want to go. And so, like I said, me and my family, we sat down and we talked about these goals, right? And these goals were big. Like even as you're looking at my oldest son here, he has a goal to publish his books, right? And guess what? Uh, he needs to have the right mindset, the right steps and take place to make sure he gets there. So the mindset has to be correct. And we talk about this all the time. And guess what? He's inspired by me writing my book. So it's this mindset saying, you can do this, son. There is a way, there's a method to get there. And so in order for us to really have a winning mindset, we got to have steps to get there. It's not this that thing, right? It's this thing that we're shooting for, and we're going to take concrete steps to get there. And I think you got to have a concrete defined mindset, a wellness mindset, a winning mindset to execute.
So as we close, I want to make sure that we start with, or make sure to reiterate what we start with. We started with the title, Why a Winning Mindset is a Wellness Mindset, right?
Yeah. Um,
And is it something you want to add?
yeah, let me add this. You know, I think we again I would say you and I, we're two sides to the same coin.
Ah, ah.
In this sense, where I was I wanted to go back to your experience as a young man in high school, right? The
Okay.
quitting. We were opposite, totally opposite. And this is not just a play on words. It just happened. I just happened to be a win. It's just crazy. I'm just a win, right?
Tell me about it, Carl Jr.
but but man, growing up, I always took on the hardest role in basketball, football. It didn't matter to me. In practice, in football, I was the running back or the quarterback. And guess what? I would in practice, I would go heads up with the linebacker. It doesn't matter. I'm going through that hole. I'm going to hit it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to hit you. We're gonna take this thing down. I'm not going out with a fight. And that was my mindset in basketball. What was I was the all team defensive player for the state, right? Because I guarded the point guard. I was always on him. Always in practice, I was running all of it. I mean, it was. I mean, I came to practice ready to go. Right. I came to the game giving it all you got. If the
Yeah,
ball is on the ground, guess what? I'm gonna get it. If I got to box out a 7 footer, guess what? I'm gonna box him out. I mean, this was, and guess what? In track, you know what I ran? Long
100.
distance.
Oh,
And I don't know,
you did
long
the long
two
distance.
mile, 1 mile. And guess what? I I didn't quit. I stopped because I started working, right? But I did the 1600, 3200, and guess what? I would always come in the first or third. I mean, between first and third place, man, I was grinding, giving it all I was got, And so my I take that to say, there's things that we need to learn while we're younger, right, to propel us to handle the real difficulties, real life challenges. And I believe that man, especially since you're the professor of wellness, right, the wellness professor, and you're really focused on helping children, right? Children need to have these challenges that they go through so they can develop this winning mindset, this winning muscles. Because guess what? Life hits as an adult, and if you don't have the mindset, man, losing is going to be you're going to tuck that tail and run and not get in the grind and go. Man, I got to get it. I got to learn this. I got to push through this, right? And so,
Man, you just hit the nail on the head with regard to the thermostat analogy. If you have the right mindset point, when circumstance happens, guess what's going to happen? You are going to kick in the gear, right? For example, if you are needing your system to call for cooling, if it's on the right set point, it's going to call for cooling, right? If you need your system to call for heating, if it's on the
mhm,
right set point, it's going to call for heating. And what you're saying is, in life, based on the circumstances, if you have the right mindset point, then that mindset is going to engage what it is that you need to engage for the situation and circumstance that you find yourself in. That's what you just said. And
that's
that's
correct.
again, that goes back to why, man, I was talking to my friend the other day. I said, listen, I realized that people who really didn't understand what was happening, because I was so good in a lot of respects to where it was like they just assumed, hey, he knows what to do, right? Well, while I knew what to do, I didn't know how to apply it in different dynamics or circumstances, right? As it pertains to
Hmm.
the discipline of your instruction or the discipline of your authority, when they tell you to do X, you do X, and then if you don't do X, you get your discipline, your correction that comes with it. But as it pertains to your pursuit, you got to understand your pursuit is going to have some resistance against it, right?
Hmm.
Myron always talks about this. He said, anytime you seek to be intentional, disruption always follows. And if you don't have the right
Yeah.
mindset, when the disruption comes, guess what's going to happen? Again, you just said you're going to tuck tail and run. You're going to take your tail and run, right? And so you've got to have the right mindset so that when you have the circumstances and situations that seek to oppose your pursuit, you are actually able to respond to that situation with the awareness or the propensity, the disposition that positions you to move forward in the way that you need to move forward. Is that pretty accurate to what you just said?
Yeah, man. That's right, man. Yeah,
Man,
for sure. It's so critical, man. Before we get off, this book I'm reading to my children, it says you have a brain, by Ben Carson. So it says a teen's guide to think big. We live in this culture where, we have somewhat limited our children ability to think properly and to think big. And so what happens is, you know, a child goes through life, and there are some challenges, but if they don't have um, someone in their corner, right? I.e., parents, right? Guardians, teachers, coaches, that is helping them to develop a winning mindset, right? To think big, right? Then what happened is they're gonna think small. Now, I don't want to raise children who think small, because
come on now.
our
Come on
culture
now.
needs people who think big, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
how society thrives,
Uh-huh.
is big thinkers, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not from a perspective of pride. It's from a perspective of, I know my value, and I need to leverage the value that God has placed in me in
Mm-hmm.
order to create value for others,
Mm,
right? If you're not Ben Carson, he has saved so many people's lives, right? Not only saved some people's life, but he's giving life, because the children who he did surgery over, right, on, now they're married, they're having children. He and guess what? He got that mindset from his mom, who only had a third grade education, right? Because but see, she may have had a third grade education. Oh, but she had a
a winning
master,
mindset.
a winning mindset.
Come on
Yes.
now.
You know, so it's not about so much, what you read, and things like, it's how you think.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
thought big enough in order to guide two boys to success.
Hmm. What
So,
is your mindset on? Again, I love going back to the thermostat analogy.
yeah.
Whatever the mindset point is will determine what your actions, what your tendency to act or feel will be, right? And
Wow.
what you're saying is, listen, this goes back to what we started with. Why a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. First of all, you can't have a winning mindset if you don't have a wellness mindset, because the opposite of winning is what? Losing. And people who are well, they seek to win by default. And if you're not well, you have a sick mindset, therefore a losing mindset.
Yes. Yes, you do.
You cannot have a winning look. Ben Carson's mother, with a third grade education, did not have a sick mindset, and she therefore did not have a losing mindset, because she instilled in her sons a winning mindset, which means she had wellness in her mindset, in the sense that she did not allow her educational status, her educational level, to minimize the value she saw in herself and her sons.
That's right.
Hmm.
And to add to that, you know, she didn't come from riches. She didn't come from her situation,
Affluence.
affluence, right? Her
Affluence.
situation. And guess what? Before she began to tell this to her sons, you have to think about it. What she went through. Her husband left her with
Mm.
two boys,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he had a family. He had another family, so he was living a double lifestyle. She did
Mm.
not. She did not want the negativity from that to influence her boys. So even
Mm.
in the midst of even in the midst of that pain and the trauma that she went through, because I'm sure she was hurting. That was painful for her.
Yeah, yeah,
She
yeah,
understood that in order for them to win, right? Her children, herself in general, she needed to make sure that her boys had the right mindset, and it started with her.
yeah, yeah.
She didn't soak in her sadness. Although she had a
Woo, she didn't
loss,
soak in her
right?
sadness. Woo.
No, she did. Although she had a loss, and it is a loss. Don't get me that's a loss. Although she had a loss, she chose not to continue to lose. She chose
Yeah.
not to have a losing mindset. She chose not to have a losing lifestyle.
She leveraged her loss for
She
her
did.
win. For her, nothing was a waste.
Absolutely.
Ooh. Mm. She said, "This is not going to define us. I'm going to define it."
Absolutely.
Wow. Man, Carl, we can continue for a long time, but y'all got to get back to your steams.
Yeah.
tell us what steams is. Y'all a homeschool family. We are too. And so tell everybody
Close the
who's
door. Wait.
anybody who's
Wait.
listening, watching this, tell everybody what steams is.
Yeah. So for us, STEAM is this semester is stewardship.
Okay.
It's an acronym, right? STEAM. It's an acronym. Stewardship. S is stewardship. T is training. E is entrepreneurship. A is administration, and M is money.
Yeah, yeah. Man.
And we're focusing on, again, building that within our children. And guess what? I'm a believer. It's not just within our children, but it's something that we're focusing on too, right? As parents, because we also want to win in those areas as well, and we believe those areas are important in order for us to have a winning lifestyle, a life that honors the Lord, right? Stewardship, right? You got to be a good steward, because at the end of the day, we got to give God um, return on his investment that he's made in us, right? T, right? Training. We all need training. No one, no matter how old you are, right? You need training, right? And then E, entrepreneurship. Man, we got to be out solving problems, man. We got to be out creating value for ourselves, for others, right? That's how our nation grows. That's how our nation thrives. If people are out creating value, solving problems. And then A, administration. Guess what? It's okay to be in the background, right? It's okay. You need to have some times where you understand the support system, how important it is to have somebody in the background to support what's happening in the front, right? So you need to know the administration. Coming from a background of being a director of operation, I really love administration. I applaud those who are in the administration, right? And then the M, money. I know a lot of people talk about money, and growing up, just as a believer in Christ, sometimes we have the wrong perspective on money.
Most
We
of the
have the
time.
negative perspective on money. But man, I've over the last few years, I've come to really understand that money is a tool, and is a tool that God has called us to leverage to for good. And money is healthy, is good, right? And money
Ah,
allows you,
absolutely.
you can send your money to a place where you can't go. Money can work on your
Come
behalf,
on, man.
right? And
Come on,
so
Carl.
I want, so my goal is to acquire as much money as God will allow me to acquire, because I know when I have it in place, I can leverage it to accomplish the things that God has called me to accomplish.
Man, you talked about the money piece, and you can send your money into places that you either can't go, don't want to go, or you can send it in various places at one time. And I'll give you an example. So with regard to this effort, Transform Kids Minds, that has that layer of encouragement in it, where we focus on using this book right here, Line, Roar, Roar, right? Yep. Using this book as our, tool, and we energize the kids with the book, right? We read it to them, have them engage with us. We read it and we go from there. The next thing we do is we train them. That word T, we train them with perspective consistent with the book. And we can do that because we've already energized them. We've opened them up to connect with the content that they can resonate with. And the last one is the encourage kids. Here's what I mean by that. We have it set up to where people can purchase an encouragement. Matter of fact, you've already participated in this, and I want to appreciate you for being one of the encouragements during our Transform Kids Minds effort. But here's the thing: what you did was the kids that you actually, or the encouragements that you purchased, put you in a position to go to places you physically will not go. As a matter of fact, it's sending you to multiple places. So your money enabled you to be able to go to
Mm-hmm.
homes of kids and families where you probably will never step foot into those homes. Money,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? But watch this. Yes, money helped to make that happen. What if I didn't have the mindset to even move in the direction to create something of
My
value like
hands are freezing.
that? That's what happened when you outside, girl. Or was that is that Fidel?
No, that's Hannah.
Oh, it's Hannah. She said my hands are freezing. Of course.
They're
Well,
excited. It's snowing
oh yeah, that's what I
out
was gonna
there.
ask you. Is it snowing over there? A little
Is it
snow.
snowing where y'all are?
We've had some icy rain, but no snow, no snow, no snow.
That's what
So
they told me it was snowing. So we'll see.
it might be on your side though, right?
Yeah.
You closer to the water,
Yeah.
so you get a little different type of situation, right?
Yeah.
So before we close, Carl, man, first of all, man, I'm so grateful that we had this experience. I'm so glad that we had this experience this morning in our mastermind
Mm-hmm.
that positioned us to, put something on the calendar to talk about, why a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. And I think what we should really take holistically is this, like, because of our mindset of, exponential growth and pursuing nothing is a waste and things of that sort, we were able to see how that was an experience to be leveraged for us to say, let's get on and talk about this. Let's talk about why a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. So, man, I always want to appreciate you for, coming and saying, Leo, man, let's start masterminding, every week. And, I can't even tell you to the degree that that experience has catapulted my life in so many respects. I mean, I'll give you one. It used to be hard for me to get up at 6:30. Now we're getting up between 5:30 and 6 o'clock every morning. But it started well before we put what we put in place. It started with having to make that commitment to every Monday morning being on that
Mm.
exponential growth call, right?
Wow.
And so, man,
Yeah.
I tell you, you never really know how, something is really going to open you up to growth in a unique way. But when you have that mindset, that wellness mindset, which is then transitioned into a winning mindset, it's like you go after it. Now, today, I do have that winning mindset, and we keep pushing. But one thing I want to make sure people know is that every one of the links, there are 3 links that correspond to what you do. You are an entrepreneur, right? You are in the context of being an entrepreneur, also an author soon to be. And so you got your Nothing is a Waste newsletter. And then you're also a community servant, serving the college community. And so below in the description of this video are all 3 of those links that correspond to one Team Winn companies. So if you're in the Houston area and you want to benefit from the winning mindset of Team Winn, he don't have to tell you. I'm advocating for it for him, right? Let another speak for you, not your own lips, a stranger, not your own mouth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that link is down below. Certainly check out Also, if you want to join his, tap into his newsletter with regard to Nothing is a Waste, you can do that. As well as you can support the work that he's doing in the college through campus ministry and all that kind of stuff. And then also you'll find down below the link to Transform Kids' Minds, where you can actually make sure you operate from a context of not ignoring the value, the worth, and the lives of these kids, and positioning them to understand their greatness. And so, any last words before we go, Carl?
Man, I'm so grateful.
Yeah,
That's it, man. This is good, man. I'm just thankful to be doing this with you. Over 12 years ago, we connected, and I'll say this: I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't met you.
man, I agree with you. It's 100% mutual over here. You know that, man. Carl, man.
Yeah.
Let me say this in response to what you said. This session was talking about why a winning mindset is a wellness mindset. And one thing I can say that we have had is a foundational commitment to having a wellness mindset so that we could have a winning mindset in everything that we did.
Mhm.
Even and this is one of the things I can say that really corresponds to the power of your message and Nothing is a Waste. We were not successful in the way that we wanted to be and could have been in that company that we were working in a number of years back. And it wasn't just what we did, it was also people, the administrative aspects, and that leads us to the awareness of how important mindset is, wellness in
Mhm.
mindset, because there was not a wellness in mindset of the leadership that we had, and it
Mhm.
affected our ability to not only have a winning mindset but to win, right?
Mhm.
If here's the thing you got to understand, if you have a winning mindset yourself, but the influences in what you're doing don't have wellness in their mindset, your winning mindset will look like a losing mindset. You can have a winning mind, and I've seen this in my life. Like, some people have asked, man, how can you be so talented and be losing? I've had that experience for a number of years in my life where nothing worked. Nothing worked. But here's the thing, the question is, what do you do with it?
Mm.
How do you leverage it? How do you
Absolutely.
repurpose it? Right?
Mhm.
How do you extract value from it? And that is one thing that being in your life and having you a part of my life has really provided, is that constant connection with that. I saw you go on from there and literally see peaks, valleys, and how at this point in your life, you look at everything not as a peak, not even as a valley. It's a pathway to my persistent opportunity, right? So,
Mhm.
Carl, I want to appreciate you for agreeing to come on, and we chat
Yeah.
about your winning mindset and my wellness mindset and how they're really the same thing.
Yeah.
It is
Man.
cool how that happens. So I'm
Yeah.
doing my 21 days of wellness, and you are doing your 365 days of winning mindset with your folks over there.
Absolutely.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna stop after 21 days. I might do 21 days of wellness continued or something like that. I don't know. But
Yeah.
uh we just gonna keep the value going, brother.
Let's keep it going, man. Man, you be blessed, brother. I'm
You
glad I
be
was
well.
able to jump on it and um, go win, man. Go be
Go
well.
go win. Go Carl win. Okay. Everybody take care. And as I often say, be great. You hear me now? Hold on, Carl.